All right, how's everyone doing tonight? I'm riding solo. Welcome to another episode of Coral Living. A lot has kind of gone on in the last 2 weeks. I had some time off the last 2 weeks. We did that episode on selfish politics, and I was pretty pumped because we had pre-recorded it. And I was like, yes, I got some time off to just kind of relax. I can use that in the following week, so I'll take some time off. It was really the first week I've had since I've started doing this streaming where I had some time to just do whatever the hell I wanted to do. And there were some good things in that and some bad things in that. And tonight, for a subject that I wanted to talk about pacing yourself, whether it's in your spiritual development or your personal development, whatever you're working on in your life. There are two bipolar options that I find people take. Either they're not doing enough or they're doing way too much. And I seem to fall into either way. It's never like a perfect balance, which I think is what you're probably trying to aim for in getting the best overall growth. After we filmed the episode 2 weeks ago, I didn't do too much, but one thing I did, which I probably shouldn't have done, was with all my spare time, I started, researching, subjects that I normally wouldn't, study. I started watching, YouTube videos that I normally wouldn't do. I spent too much time on Facebook, too much time on Netflix. And I got kind of caught up in all the worldly things going on, and it was amazing how fast I just got caught up in something that I normally don't get caught up in. And maybe it was spurred on by the subject of selfish politics and the fact that we were in an election, and right now that is like a really heated subject with the whole COVID situation. Everyone has, their opinion on it, and I felt like I was getting caught up in that. Now I still do follow it, a bit. I think it's good to be aware of what's going on, and I guess to each their own. Maybe for some people they need to stay totally away from that because they can't handle it, and I understand it, because it can really get to you, and these subjects can really affect your life and transform the outcome of where you're going in your life. But in all of that, I found myself, as I was kind of like stressing myself out over these issues, I felt that I was leaning on some of my spiritual habits to help balance me out. And I kind of remembered, why things like meditation or yoga, they're so important, and they can have such a positive influence in your life. They can really ground you and bring you back to what's important in your life. I found myself being able to relax myself, calm myself down, center myself. That's a classic woo-woo thing. Center yourself. And it was good, and it was well needed. But I think it's important to, if you can, find that right balance for yourself. you know what you can handle. But also, it's important not to get stuck. A lot of people, they get stuck in a rut of not doing anything. They find like the path of least resistance, they get stuck in that path, and then they end up having no growth. And that can bring you into kind of like a depressive state. That can bum you out if you find yourself, day in, day out, week after year, just doing the same old thing, finding no changes in your life, and you find yourself wondering, like, where am I going? Or is this all that there is in life? I like kind of a baby steps approach, or even, a common thing in personal development is writing your goals down. I think I've probably, mentioned that before, but I'll probably mention it again, because there's something powerful in writing your goals on paper and coming back to it and looking at it. I've got a book that I write my goals in. I write small goals, medium-sized goals, and ridiculously hard goals. Some goals that I might never reach. But I have those goals that I can open up, maybe once or twice a week, and look at them and say, how am I doing with my goals? Am I achieving what am I actually doing what I'm striving to achieve? And again, there's something magical about putting that stuff on paper. And when you do this, you're going to find, your limits. For me, like, diet is one. If you're trying to eat a real clean diet and you're trying to lose some weight, you can sometimes push yourself too far, and you might find yourself overcompensating in other bad habits. This is like a classic thing, For me, one is like I had a goal this year that I was like, I'm not gonna drink alcohol until Christmas, and I started this in like May or whatever, and I'm still doing it. But I find myself munching on sugary snacks more than I normally do. So it can be counterproductive in that way. So you gotta kind of pay attention to that aspect of things. But I know I can meet that goal. I know I can do that. Sometimes you can push yourself too hard. If you're trying too many goals, like, I'm not going to drink, I'm going to eat healthy, I'm not going to, I'm not watching TV, and I'm never going on social media. You could do you can have way too much going on. This can cause like spiritual burnout, or personal development burnout, and then you can lose all your progress and just fall back into the stuff you were doing before. So I like the kind of pacing yourself technique, baby steps, one thing at a time, that's great. Now, there's that aspect of like I said, I find there's a bipolar option. A lot of people, they get stuck in that not doing anything and the working too hard thing. So hopefully, if you watch this video, maybe there can be some inspiration. Maybe it triggers in you something like, I haven't been doing anything for a while, and you know what? If it does that for you, great. I love that. We can all help each other and lift each other up, and that's something to look for. Now, what I do is, once I reach a goal, sometimes once I get that goal, I know that okay, I did it. I did that goal. I will sometimes give myself a break session where okay, I gotta detach for a bit and just take some time off. One goal with this station for me on my channel here is I want to do 52 episodes, a whole year worth of episodes, before I took a significant time off, maybe took a month away from Twitch and YouTube and took a break. That's kind of a goal of mine right now. I felt like I could handle that. I can handle that goal. I can do it. And maybe that's something you need to do, is ask yourself, can I handle that? Is that something I can do? And you'll also notice when you're watching other people's material, there's like all these personal development videos and gurus, and you see these guys doing these like wondrous feats of like, I meditated for a week straight. Like that's probably not practical for you if you're like me in like Normalsville, where you got to go to work every day, and you got to do work around the house, take care of the family, make sure the relationship with the wife's good, taking care of all this stuff. Taking a week off to go meditate somewhere probably ain't gonna happen for you. So don't bum yourself out by some of the ridiculous things that people portray in on the internet. Like another one's like, read a book once a week. Who the hell has time to read a book once a week? Like I'm lucky if I can get a chapter in a night. It's reading a book once a week. But you can still you could make a goal like maybe I could read one book a month. Little things like that to challenge yourself, to build yourself up. You can get caught up in like hero worship of these people. You see all these, this is their life. Someone who's like a full-time YouTuber or, guru or something, that's all they have to do. So it's easy to do those things. Maybe you could work yourself up, say, or build yourself up in, say, a practice. Like, say with meditation, if it was like, I'm going to take a weekend where I'm just going to take the whole weekend off and I'm going to meditate that weekend. That might be more realistic. If, like the wife and the kids are going up to the cottage for a weekend or something. Or maybe just one day. Meditating an entire day is a feat for most regular people. Anyway, I've never done that. But, maybe that's a goal I could set for myself. Or, even taking it from like 30 minutes to an hour to 2 hours to 3 hours. You can push yourself. If you can handle 2, I could probably do 3 or 4 in a row and then see where it goes. Or if you're working out in the gym, pushing yourself, you know what you can handle in the gym, or if you're working out or eating healthy, what type of habits are sustainable versus the ones that you're never going to be able to keep up with that diet. That's one I struggle with is diet. Keep finding a diet that I can actually sustain. But I think maybe like a writing down technique, I think I got to go there next maybe with that one. But yeah, so I don't think it's worth getting yourself all upset over, seeing the ridiculous feats that other people do. Yourself, and I think this is really important when it comes to like pacing yourself and finding it, is like really be honest with yourself and find out what's good for you in terms of your personal development and growth. Take time. Like I've made the mistake of trying to emulate others in the past, and that's no good. It doesn't matter if other people can do these ridiculous things, and who knows if they're actually doing it. Were you there with them? Did you see them do these things? They might be full of shit. So, you're going to have to be the judge yourself. So you could take some time to sit down and write these things down if you wanted to, or contemplate about it, to find a schedule or some things that work for you, but to also remember that it's okay to take a break every now and then. You might, though, also, just like warning, is that, it's easy to be like, well, I did, like a week of meditation, now I'm going to take a month off, and then you never do it again. Try to push yourself, find something that's, if you do a month and you take a week off, then the next time push it to 2 months or 3 months. Keep building on yourself. You can easily trick yourself into thinking, and that's another thing I've done before, tricking yourself into thinking that I'm having progress here. See, look at this thing I've done. But then, you're right back into that bad habit, in another week while you're dabbling with some other, facet of life that you think, you're building yourself up in. You can definitely self-deceive and delude yourself in your personal growth. I guess that's all I'm really trying to say there. So pace yourself. That is the message of the evening, and hopefully it works out for you. Now, in my spiritual searches this week, I decided to take a look at the Aztecs from South America, and they're fascinating. Around the 2000, I think it's 2000, somewhere around the 1500s or something, 15 AD, BC. I don't know. I can't remember exactly, honestly. But the Aztecs in Central America, fascinating people, and in terms of their religion, I don't even know if they have a main god. I just know they have many gods. But it was really hard to put on whether or not they were like a monotheistic god or a polytheistic god, because their main god, I wrote the guy's name down here. I think it's Ometeotli. I'm probably butchering that. Ometeotli. The name itself means dual god, but it's weird. I don't know. It was like some weird Trinity thing going on there, where that god is two gods that made that god. And I was so confused. I tried to understand it, but I was like, and the consensus wasn't out on whether or not the interpretations of that god were correct. I think the main thing is that they have a whole bunch of gods that influence and relate with characteristics of the Aztec community. So, I had a list here. They have gods for medicine and fertility, art, gods that take care of the underworld, gods and goddesses. What else do they got here? Gods of sacrifice, gods of the earth, gods of travel. They have all these gods that seem to have some type of say in all of the Aztec community and their development and their society. Now, I've been to Mexico, and me and my wife, we got to go to Tulum and climb up the pyramids in Mexico, and that was actually horrifying. I don't even think they allow people to do it anymore, because when we went there, I think it was the last year they did this, they had this big giant rope that kind of came down the pyramid, and the steps were all kind of broken from people walking up and down this thing. But if you wanted to, you grab this rope and pull yourself all the way up to the top of the temple. And I think actually my oldest brother was with me on this trip, and so we did that. And Mexico's flat, so you can see out overall, for a very far distance, all of Mexico. And the tour guide, he had climbed the temple with us, and he was saying look out and see everything. And he's like, you see all those humps out there in the distance? Because for miles and miles, you'd see a hump every now and then, where it looked like it was a hill with trees on it. And he said, all those humps out there are temples like this one that have not been preserved, and that, nature is kind of covered. And I was just so shocked at that. I was like, I couldn't believe that they hadn't excavated, but he was like, we don't have the money to excavate them. But all that stuff out there is all, temples and stuff. So, which was pretty cool to think about, that maybe in the future someday, all the stuff they might find from the Aztecs, which is pretty cool. And then, their artwork. I love their artwork. Just look up Aztec art on Google and go in and check out all the cool artwork that they have. It's a pretty fascinating group, and I think they actually, they claim to have even descendants around in Mexico today. I think even on our trip we might have met one of these people who's claiming to be one of the descendants of the Aztecs. Although I was always under the assumption that they had mysteriously disappeared, but who knows? I don't really know. But there's lots of information out there. I liked that the movie Apocalypto that Mel Gibson did. That was pretty cool, and showing the Aztecs back in the day. And from some of the stories that I heard, it sounded actually pretty accurate to the movie and like pretty gruesome. These were like fierce people, and brave and strong, like, oh my god, like they, and very bloody, like very into like sacrifices and like the whole cutting off of the heads thing. There were like stories that I definitely found about that in their culture. So yeah, pretty fascinating people. But there you go. That's pretty much tonight's show. I want to thank everyone for coming out, all your support. If you like the show, please smash the like button, subscribe, share it with a friend. All that stuff helps promote the channel. Also, remember, you can come do live meditations with me every Thursday at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time here on Twitch. And until next week, stay spiritual.